Welcome to Shannons Club TV, where we take a uniquely Australian perspective on classic road and race cars.
Now, coming up, we'll meet a proud owner of our feature car and get the latest auction results from the Shannons auctions team. Right now though, let's take a look at the little Fiat with a Ferrari flavour, the 850 Coupe.
Road and Track magazine lauded the Fiat 850 Coupe as one of the handsomest, best balanced designs ever seen on a small car. Based on the 850 sedan, which was itself based on the 1955 Fiat 600, the 1965 850 Coupe looked like the world's cheapest Ferrari. The beautiful lines were drawn by father and son designers Felice and Gian Boano. This duo had previously played a major role in creating the drop-dead gorgeous Volkswagen Carmen Ghia. The later 124 Sport Coupe contains plenty of the same cues. But check out the glass house and door design of the LX Tirana hatch. Holden's styling boss Leo Pruno was inspired by the 850 and the 124. Squint and the A9X can be reimagined as a Fiat 850 Coupe on huge steroids. Unlike most small rear-engined offerings, the Fiat had semi-trailing arm rear suspension with an anti-roll bar rather than swing axles, making it less inclined to invert itself than, say, a Volkswagen Beetle. Mark, I'm guessing that the 850's dynamics really shone on the racetrack.
Yeah, they sure did. I mean, look, it only weighed about 700 kilos. And it was remarkably well balanced for a rear-engine car, it really was.
Yes.
And a top speed of, like more than 90 mile an hour. Now, at a place like Mount Panorama at Bathurst, it obviously struggled climbing up those hills with such a small engine. But having said that, it certainly didn't disgrace itself, which I'll get to a little bit later.
Fiat entrusted Abarth to find almost 25% more power. An extractor-type exhaust, unusual in any production car in the mid-1960s, a dual-throat Weber and a reworked cylinder head took maximum power to 52 brake horsepower, almost on a par with the 997cc Mini Cooper. This sporty unit could be revved as high as 7,000 briefly, and the normal redline of 6,200 RPM was pretty astronomical in the days of the HD Holden. The gear shift was a delight, but couldn't altogether compensate for severely offset pedals and steering wheel, which resulted from the large front wheel arches. The 13-inch wheels, up from the sedan's 12 inches, hid substantial front discs. If the visuals were Ferrari, the driving experience was closer to early model Porsche 911, with strong initial understeer and pendulum-style oversteer at the ragged edge. In 1969 came the revised version, known as the Sport Coupe, with bigger 903cc engine and numerous extra features, including prominent driving lights. Modern Motors said, judged as a fun machine, it has no peer on the Australian market. Mark, the Fiat brand was certainly very active in Australian motorsport in the 1960s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sure was. And the Mark's little 850 Coupe was certainly not afraid of a big bad mountain. The Bathurst heritage of the Fiat 850 Coupe dates to the 1965 Armstrong 500, when 3 examples of the tiny 850 sedan, which preceded the coupe, competed in the small car class. As expected, the little Italian sedans were no match for the class-winning Ford Cortina 220s, scoring their best result the following year by finishing 5th against superior Datsun and Ford opponents. 1967 saw the first Bathurst appearance of an 850 Coupe, with only 47 brake horsepower from its tiny rear-mounted 843cc engine. The little Italian fastback was no threat to more powerful rivals, but another display of faultless reliability was mounting evidence of the 850 family's performance breeding. John, these Bathurst appearances, they must have gone a long way to boosting Fiat's performance image for Australian audiences.
Yes, I think so, Mark. Fiat was always kind of the poor relation to Alfa Romeo.
They were, weren't they?
By the time we got to the mid-60s, Fiat image was right up there.
Yeah, they were really pushing it, and the dealers were so enthusiastic. So many of those Fiats you saw at Bathurst in that era had all the dealer names on them. They were very enthusiastic about getting the product out there at a time when Bathurst was very influential in that.
And they did a fantastic job marketing those cars in the late 60s.
Yeah, it was a great time. The definitive version of the 850 Coupe was the Sport Coupe, which, as John mentioned, had extra features, including a set of driving lights and a slight increase in engine capacity to just over 900cc and 52 brake horsepower. With a curb weight of only 700 kilograms, it could reach an impressive top speed of more than 100 mile per hour down Conrod Straight, where it would happily spin to a staggering 8,000 RPM. Rookie Gary Leggett made a memorable debut in the 1972 Bathurst 500, where his 850 Sport Coupe found itself in the middle of an all-out class war between Japanese giants Datsun and Mazda. Even so, the little Italian car was not disgraced thanks to a strong qualifying performance, but heavy rain on race morning would ensure the first wet start for the 500, for which Leggett was unprepared. On a set of road tyres borrowed at the last minute from a spectator, Leggett and his little Fiat survived the treacherous early conditions to finish a fighting 10th in class ahead of several Japanese factory cars and some big-name drivers. Leggett had survived his first Bathurst 500, driving non-stop for 6 hours on nothing more than a can of Coke and a sandwich. He was also the last official finisher, but given that the Fiat 850 Sport Coupe was the smallest engined car in the field, it was worthy of a major celebration. Remember to join the Shannons Club, where you can connect with other enthusiasts around the country.
My name's Anna Flynn. This is John Flynn. Behind us we have an 850 Fiat Sports 1970. It came to Australia via South Africa and it was owned by a gentleman in New South Wales, and it's come down to Victoria.
It's the last of the models, the 71 model. Slightly larger engine, it's got a different carburetor, an extractor exhaust system, slightly uprated brakes, slightly bigger discs, a few little things like that, but I think it's basically the engine that's had a little bit of work on it to up the horsepower. From a design-wise point of view, just a standout little car. There's nothing else on the road that had the visual appeal or what's that sort of look. When she was running, well, she was pure Italian. She sounded great, she made a lot of noise, she was even when she was standing still, she was moving.
I think the car's it's the right size and it's really cute. It's nice to drive.
Just the noise, the way it behaves, it's an Italian thing and nothing else is like it.
We've always had this car insured with Shannons. I've been a member since I've had this, so about 3 years. They're great, easy to work with.
It's an intriguing little thing because it's great from any angle. It's elegance in the lines of the thing, and also that heritage with Ferrari is pretty powerful sort of stuff. It's just baby Ferrari to me. I know people might laugh at that, but it's from some angles it's pretty damn cute.
Tony Hansen from Shannons Auctions joins us for an update on the Fiat 850 Coupe. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks, John.
Welcome to the show, mate.
Hey, Mark.
The Fiat 850 Coupe, it was a cute little car when it came out in the 60s, but what's the survival rate been?
Very low, actually.
Yeah,
very low. Very vulnerable to rust, very vulnerable to mechanical breakdowns, etc., etc.
On a quiet day, you could actually hear them rusting
So
when
they
they were
say.
new.
So they say.
So we're talking high maintenance.
High maintenance, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And, to an Italian, I guess, this car would look like a little Ferrari. We've even spoken about that.
Yeah.
Is it a car that you think would appeal most to a really passionate, if not an Italian car enthusiast?
Well, Italian car enthusiast for sure. Someone who's going to be very high active in the club scene.
And there are people who are really passionate about Italian cars.
Of course there
and
are.
the
Of
whole
course there
Italian
are.
culture,
Yes.
really, it goes with it. And That to me is the magic of that car. It's really a scale model Ferrari. You know,
Yeah.
lovely exhaust note,
Yep.
lovely interior, really quite a gem of a little car.
Yeah.
They were a good little car in the day.
Yeah.
They were a lot of fun to
Zippy little
drive,
car.
weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, but
A
we've
lot of fun
spoken
to
about
drive.
the practicality in modern day terms. You know, that little 850 engine or, you know, the late 900, 903cc, that's a very small motor in today's traffic.
Very
isn't
small
it?
motor, very hard to keep up the traffic on the freeway doing 100.
Yeah.
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 For a
Yeah,
long,
and
long
they were
period of time.
and all those Fiats were low geared, really
Very
low
low
geared.
geared.
Yeah.
Boy, they were fun to drive,
Yeah,
and
very
the
fun.
engine loved to rev, and you know, it's got all those things that, you know, those typical continental cars of that era.
Good little driver's car.
And the engine at the back, it's almost, if it feels a bit like a Ferrari in character, it's
Yeah.
probably actually closer to an early model Porsche 911 in its handling
Yeah,
characteristics.
all the way to the back. Yep.
So it's going to be a fun thing to own, but what's the backup like in terms of Fiat specialist servicing, spare parts, rust repairs, all that sort
Look,
of
there are
stuff?
some very good Fiat and Italian specialists out there, but I think the main thing would be join a car club, join a
Yeah.
Fiat
Yeah,
club or Italian car club owners.
Because the
club.
Fiat car club's very active, isn't it?
Very active,
Yeah.
very active club.
That's the only way you're going to source one anyway, I think, to
Yeah.
buy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Through the
and
Fiat
you
car
wouldn't want to
clubs.
be looking at a full ground-up resto for this sort of car.
No, you'd want to find a good, if you can, a low mileage one with no rust.
Excellent.
Same story.
And
Yep.
do you think you've got great potential in the future as a
Oh,
collector
for sure.
car?
Well, they're not making any more.
No, they're
Yeah.
not. No,
Yeah,
that's right.
And we had the 850 coupe and then the 850 Sports coupe
Sports
with the
coupe,
bigger
yes,
engine, the
yep.
driving lights. That'd be the more desirable one, wouldn't it?
For sure, they're the most desirable ones to get.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Thank you very much
Thanks,
for
Si.
joining
No
us today. And remember, you can find all the latest auction results on the Shannons Club website. If you'd like a memorable competition image of the Fiat 850, check out the archive at autopics.com.au.
You know, John, it's interesting reflecting on the Fiat 850 coupe. That to me have to be, you know, arguably the most stylish Fiat that we'd seen to that point.
Up to that point,
Yeah.
yes, I think so. Perhaps even better looking than the Fiat 1500.
Beautiful looking car.
Yeah, it certainly was. We hope you've enjoyed this look back at the little coupe that delivered Italian GT style at a shopping car price, and we'll catch you next time on Shannons Club TV.